Alright, and welcome to another video in my Road to Ironman Cairns 2026. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. For those of you who've been in before, welcome back. My name is Trindall. I'm a 57-year-old triathlete based in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. And as I said, I'm training for Ironman Cairns in the coming June 2026. So these videos are just a little recap I do each week of my training. I do it for a few reasons. Firstly, just for a record for myself that I can look back on when I'm old and grey and in a wheelchair and go, those were the good days. And hopefully after 40 odd years in the sport, I'm able to give a little bit back if anyone gets anything out of these videos. So if there's any questions you have, please feel free to throw them down in the comments. I do answer them and I do read them, and I do appreciate any comments as well. So anyway, without delay, let's get straight into the video. We have, well, this is covering 11 weeks to go. We're a little bit into that now, and it's starting to get real as we head into Cairns, and the training is becoming very consistent. And one thing I'll say, it's starting to be a little bit fatiguing as well, which you have to expect at this phase of the training. So if you've watched these videos before, you'll know that I do very much a build type progressive training load. So what that means is week 1 is 2 and 3 are builds, and week 4 is generally a recovery. However, with the timing of this around the Moreton Bay Tri, which is coming up, I think it's the 10th of May or somewhere about then, I'm actually doing a 4-week build with the final week recovery, freshen up into that race. So this week 11 to go is build 1. So it's around a 12-hour training week, so it's not over the top, but it does build a little bit of fatigue in there as well. So Monday kicked off with just a easy 60-minute training zone 1 ride. So nothing special about it, just rolling the legs over, keeping that heart rate down. And I think I even stopped for a coffee, to be honest. I can't remember going back onto the Monday. The weeks get a bit like that after a while. And then in the evening, I actually had a late work shift from 2 p.m. till about 10 p.m. So I knew it was going to be a later evening as well. So Tuesday morning, up early and a 90-minute zone 2 ride. And with those zone 2 rides now, what I'm doing is in the middle of those rides, I'm introducing a few 4-minute efforts. At this stage, I'm just doing 2 4-minute efforts, and I'm doing those on roughly the power output, because I do use a power meter, on what I expect that I'll be holding at Ironman Cairns. So it's just getting the legs used to that load without adding too much fatigue in there as well, because Wednesday, as you'll see shortly, is going into a fairly big day for me. So work-wise, I had a 10 a.m. to 6:30 work shift, so you can see how we're starting to juggle our training around that. And my shifts aren't the regular 9 to 5, they do vary. I have some evenings, I have some early starts, and then I have some sort of middle of the day stuff. So rolling into Wednesday, Wednesday was a 90-minute zone 2 run. So yeah, just had to double check that myself. So all that really is just going out and starting to build those runs up again. And 90 minutes is sort of starting to not really get into the fatigue state, but you're starting to be a little bit conscious to the point where you need to practice your nutrition from about that 15-20 minute mark in the run as well. So in the lunchtime, I hit the pool and 2,500 meter intervals, and that just included a main set of 20 times 200. I've shortened the rest on those now. I was doing a longer rest at 45, but I brought that back into 30 seconds, and I'll bring that back down to 15 as we progress further in the program. So a later shift, that was an evening shift, so 3 p.m. till 11 p.m. So I knew I was going to be coming into Thursday a little bit fatigued as far as being a bit tired as well. And I did have an indoor session planned for that. Now, my indoor session planned for the Thursday was meant to be a 90-minute indoor session, and I was meant to be doing a 15-minute warm-up and then 3 by 18 minutes at Ironman power with a 3-minute recovery. But given that when I woke up on Thursday, my heart rate variability was way off. It's unbalanced. It's been unbalanced for about a week. But saying that, my resting heart rate was good. So I was sort of getting cross signals there. And what that really meant was I am starting to carry a little bit of fatigue, which has got to be expected at this point in training. But I did head to the side of caution here, and I did just end up doing a Z1, Zone 1, Zone 2 90-minute indoor, and then off for a day work shift, which was a 9:30 to 6:30 p.m. Friday morning I woke up and I ended up deciding to have a full rest day. So this is being week 1 in a build again, and I said this is going to be literally a 5-week cycle, so a 4-week build and recovery. So I didn't mind taking that rest day, knowing that I was going to put in some solid work the next day as well. So we roll into Saturday. Saturday we had a 3-hour, 30-minute Zone 2 ride. Very important in these rides just to be constant with the power, even in the climbs and things like that, not pushing too hard, just keeping that steady power, thinking about taking a drink every 15 minutes and having something to eat, and just concentrating on working those carbohydrates in. At the moment I'm running about 70 grams per hour, and I'm working on that gut tolerance to increase that as we work forward. So afternoon I had a 2,500 meter endurance swim, and this swim was actually in the pool. We have a very good facility here, indoor heated pool, so it's 28 degrees, so it's going to help me simulate that heat that the water is at Cairns, given that we will be wearing a wetsuit in Cairns with the not jellyfish season, but they're still wary of that. And that really sort of starts planning it. And every week or the other week now I introduce that wetsuit swim in the pool, and it's just a steady state endurance swim, and that will build up to around 4,000 meters, but at the moment it's around, well, for week 11 it was 2,500. So rolling into Sunday, I did have a work shift. It was going to be a 10-hour day, so I knew it was going to be a longer shift. So what I did was got up early before I went on, and it was about an hour and a half drive to where I was working that day, and just did a 60-minute Zone 2 run. And that was just nice and steady. And what I'm starting to see now as we're sort of progressing further into this program is that my Zone 2 runs, and this is what I'll say with this Zone 2 training, and especially looking at the 80-20 training, or in endurance, a longer course, we're more 85-15% training, is that if you're consistent with it, what you'll see is your pace for the heart rate starts dropping. So now what I'm starting to see is I'm running in my Zone 2, so I'm running in low 120 beats per minute heart rate, but I'm starting to be very close into what I would expect to be able to hold at Ironman Cairns, but within sort of 20 to 30 seconds of that anyway per kilometre. So that's starting to look very promising, especially 11 weeks out. Saying that, I'm not carrying the fatigue of a 5 or 5.5 hour bike ride in the legs, but it's heading in the right direction, and that's what we want to see. And that's just that patience, consistency, that every session just being very very focused on what the session's about. So anyway, that is my week 11 to go. The training is going to be ramping up over the next few weeks, so I can see the fatigue adding, and I'm just got to be very careful to walk that fine knife edge, and those of you who have been there before know what I'm talking about there. So if you've made it this far in the video, thanks so much for watching. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, you do know the drill. There's a little button down the bottom if you want to catch up on these in future. And until next time, stay safe out there.